My mother texted, "We are celebrating this Christmas without your family this year too." When my daughter saw it, she secretly called her, and that's where she lost it, saying, "You guys aren't needed. Every year we don't invite you for a reason, it gets too crowded." She hung up on her. Then I saw photos, 21 people, matching pajamas, gifts everywhere. Dad had posted, "Finally a perfect Christmas with real family only." Sister added, "Some people just don't fit into our celebrations." My kids asked, "Will we ever celebrate together?" I smiled, "We'll celebrate differently." That night, I ended every payment I'd been covering by morning. The group chat was exploding. The text came through on December 10th at 3:47 p.m. I was folding laundry in my bedroom when my phone buzzed against the dresser. Mom's name lit up the screen, and I picked it up expecting the usual mundane update about her garden or a complaint about the weather. "We're celebrating this Christmas without your family this year too." I stared at those words for a solid minute. The casual cruelty of it hit differently than I expected. This would be the third year in a row. 3 consecutive Christmases where my husband Derek, my 2 kids Emma and Lucas, and I were simply uninvited, excluded, erased from the family gathering like we were seasonal decorations that had gone out of style. I set the phone down and returned to folding Derek's work shirts, trying to process the message. My hands moved on autopilot, smoothing out wrinkles, creating neat squares. The rhythm was comforting, even as my mind spun in circles. 2. That word bothered me most. It suggested a pattern, a deliberate choice that had been made and would continue being made. This wasn't an oversight or a scheduling conflict. This was intentional. I didn't respond. What was there to say? Please include us? That ship had sailed years ago. Why? I already knew why, even if nobody would say it out loud. I'd married someone they deemed beneath us. Derek was a mechanic, not a lawyer or doctor. He worked with his hands, came home with grease under his fingernails, and made an honest living that apparently wasn't good enough for the Fitzgerald family standards. My sister Rachel had married Bradley, who worked in finance. They lived in a sprawling house in the suburbs with a 3-car garage and a pool. My brother Aaron had married Jennifer, a pediatric surgeon. Their Christmas cards looked like they belonged in magazines. And then there was me, Natalie, the disappointment who'd chosen love over status. I heard footsteps on the stairs and quickly composed my face. Emma appeared in the doorway, her phone clutched in her hand. At 13, she was becoming more observant, more aware of the undercurrents that adults tried to hide. "Mom, Grandma texted you, didn't she?" My stomach dropped. "How do you know that?" Emma's face flushed. "I saw it pop up on your phone earlier when you were in the bathroom. The preview showed on your lock screen." I nodded slowly, continuing to fold. "It's fine, honey. Just holiday planning stuff." But Emma didn't leave. She lingered in the doorway, shifting her weight from foot to foot. Something was wrong. I could read my daughter like a book I'd written myself. "Emma? What is it?" She bit her lip, and tears suddenly filled her eyes. "I called her." The shirt in my hands dropped onto the bed. "You what?" "I called Grandma." I was upset about the text, and I wanted to know why we never get to come to Christmas anymore. I wanted to hear her explain it. My heart started pounding. This was exactly the kind of confrontation I'd been trying to avoid, trying to shield my kids from. "What did she say?" Emma's voice cracked as she spoke. "She said we're not needed. She said every year they don't invite us for a reason because it gets too crowded." Then she hung up on me, Mom. She hung up on me like I was some telemarketer. I crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled my daughter into my arms. She sobbed against my shoulder, her whole body shaking. Over her head, I could see Lucas standing in the hallway, his 11-year-old face confused and concerned. "What's wrong with Emma?" he asked. "Come here, buddy." I opened one arm and he joined the hug, squeezing us both tight. "It's going to be okay," I whispered, even though I wasn't sure I believed it myself. That evening, after the kids had gone to bed, I sat on the couch with Derek. He'd come home from the shop to find me strangely quiet, and it hadn't taken long for the whole story to spill out. He listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening progressively as I talked. "Too crowded," he repeated when I finished. "There are 21 people in that family, Nat. Your parents' house is 4,500 square feet. It's not about space." "I know." And she said that to Emma. To a 13-year-old kid who just wanted to understand why her grandparents don't want her around. "I know." Derek ran his hand through his hair, a gesture he made when he was trying to control his temper. "What do you want to do?" I didn't have an answer. What could I do? Show up uninvited? Send an angry text? Both options felt equally pointless. My phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Against my better judgment, I opened it. My father had posted a photo. The timestamp showed it was from earlier that day. I clicked on it, and my breath caught in my throat. 21 people filled the frame, all wearing matching red and white plaid pajamas. They stood in front of my parents' enormous Christmas tree, which was decorated so elaborately it looked like something from a department store display. Presents were stacked underneath in perfectly wrapped towers. Everyone was smiling, arms around each other, looking like the picture of holiday perfection. The caption read, "Finally a perfect Christmas with real family only. Can't wait for the big day. Real family only." I scrolled through the comments. Rachel had added one, "Some people just don't fit into our celebrations. Quality over quantity always." My hand was shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Derek took it from me gently and looked at the screen. His expression darkened. "They posted this today? The same day your mom sent that text and hung up on Emma?" I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. "They're rubbing it in. They're making sure you see what you're missing." He was right. This wasn't just exclusion. This was cruelty with a spotlight on it. The next morning, Emma came downstairs for breakfast with red-rimmed eyes. Lucas followed, unusually quiet. They sat at the kitchen table while I made pancakes and the silence felt heavy. "Mom?" Emma's voice was small. "Will we ever get to celebrate Christmas with them? With Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Rachel and Uncle Aaron?" Lucas looked up from his orange juice. "Yeah, do they not like us anymore?" I turned off the stove and sat down at the table with them. Derek came in from the garage, still in his work clothes from an early morning call, and joined us. "We'll celebrate differently," I said, trying to sound confident. "We'll make our own traditions. Our own perfect Christmas." "But why don't they want us?" Lucas pressed. "How do you explain to an 11-year-old that sometimes families are cruel for no good reason? That grandparents who should love unconditionally can be petty and judgmental? That the people who should protect you can be the ones who hurt you most? Sometimes people have limited space in their lives," I said carefully. "And they choose who fills that space. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means they're making choices based on things that have nothing to do with how wonderful you are." Emma wasn't buying it. She was too smart for platitudes. "Is it because Dad fixes cars instead of being a lawyer?" Derek's face went pale. I reached across the table and took both kids' hands. "Listen to me. Your father is the hardest working, most honest, most loving man I know. He built this family with his own 2 hands. If people can't see his value, that's their loss, not ours." "But it doesn't feel like their loss," Emma whispered. "It feels like ours." She was right. It did feel like ours. After the kids left for school, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and a cup of coffee that had gone cold. Derek had headed to the shop, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Those thoughts kept circling back to one thing: the money. I'd been financially supporting my family for years. Not in obvious ways, not in ways anyone would notice or thank me for. But in steady, constant ways that added up to something significant. When my brother Aaron had lost his job 3 years ago, I'd covered his mortgage for 6 months. $12,000 that I'd pulled from our savings, money that Derek and I had been setting aside for Emma's college fund. Aaron had promised to pay me back. He never did. When Rachel's son Tyler needed braces, I'd paid for them. $8,000 because Rachel was tight on cash despite the luxury SUV in her driveway and the annual vacation to Hawaii. My parents' property taxes. I'd been paying half of them for the last 4 years. They'd asked for help once when Dad's business had a slow year, and somehow it had become an expectation. $4,500 every year, paid quietly through an automatic transfer they'd probably forgotten about. Rachel's daughter Madison's dance classes, competition fees, costumes. I'd sponsored those for 2 years. Roughly $6,000 annually. Aaron's wife Jennifer's medical school loans. I'd been helping make payments on those. $300 a month for 3 years. Over $10,000 total. My mother's book club, her garden club membership, her spa days. She'd mentioned once that they helped her maintain important social connections, and I'd started covering them. Small monthly charges that added up to about $2,000 a year. I opened my banking app and started going through automatic payments, scheduled transfers, and recurring charges. The total made me feel physically sick. Over the past 5 years, I'd given my family over $170,000. Derek and I weren't wealthy. We were comfortable because we worked hard and lived modestly. I had a good job as a project manager at a tech company. My salary was solid, but that much money represented sacrifices. Delayed home repairs. Cheaper vacations. Putting off buying a new car. Not replacing our aging furniture. And for what? To be told we weren't needed. To have my daughter hung up on. To be excluded from family celebrations because we made things too crowded. I opened a new document and started making a list. Every automatic payment. Every scheduled transfer. Every recurring subscription or membership I was covering for members of my family. Then I started canceling them. Aaron's mortgage assistance, the small monthly amount I'd been sending to help since he'd gotten back on his feet but somehow never stopped needing. Cancelled. Rachel's daughter's dance program fees. Cancelled. Property tax payment for my parents. Cancelled. Jennifer's medical school loan payments. Cancelled. Mom's club memberships and spa account. Cancelled. Tyler's orthodontist payment plan. Cancelled. Every single one. Click, click, click. Each cancellation felt like removing a weight from my shoulders. I sent one email to the property tax office, removing myself as an authorized payer. Another to the orthodontist's office, requesting they contact Rachel directly for future payments. A third to the dance academy, explaining that Madison's account would need to be transferred to her parents. The whole process took about 90 minutes. By the time I was finished, my hands were steady and my resolve was absolute. I didn't send any messages to my family. I didn't announce what I'd done or explain my reasons. I simply stopped. If they wanted to cut me out of their celebrations, they could fund those celebrations themselves. That night, Derek found me in the kitchen making dinner. He wrapped his arms around me from behind and rested his chin on my shoulder. "You're different," he said. "Something shifted today." I canceled everything. He tensed. Everything? Every payment, every transfer, every dime I've been sending to my family for years. It's done. Derek turned me around to face him. "You're sure?" They posted a picture of their perfect family without us. They told our daughter she's not needed. They've made their choice, so I'm making mine. He studied my face for a long moment, then smiled. "I love you. You know that, right? And I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For choosing us. For choosing your kids. For finally seeing that you don't owe them anything just because they're blood." I leaned into him, letting his support steady me. "I should have done it years ago. You did it now. That's what matters." The next morning, December 12th, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. The family group chat, which I'd muted months ago, was exploding. I made coffee before I looked at it. I needed caffeine for this. The first message was from Aaron's wife Jennifer, timestamped at 6:47 a.m., "The payment for my student loans bounced." "What happened?" Rachel at 7:02 a.m., "The dance academy called. They said Madison's account is past due and they removed the payment method on file. I need you to call them." My mother at 7:15 a.m., "Natalie, the county sent a notice about property taxes. Did you forget to make the payment?" Aaron at 7:23 a.m., "Jennifer's freaking out about her loan payment. Can you check on that?" Rachel at 7:30 a.m., "Tyler's orthodontist called. They said we need to set up a new payment plan. What's going on?" My father at 7:41 a.m., "Your mother is upset about some tax issue. Please call us." Then the tone shifted. Rachel at 8:05 a.m., "Are you seriously ignoring us right now?" Aaron at 8:12 a.m., "This isn't funny, Nat. People are calling us about bills." My mother at 8:18 a.m., "I don't understand what's happening. Why are all these places contacting us?" Rachel at 8:34 a.m., "Did you cancel Madison's dance payments? What the hell?" Jennifer at 8:40 a.m., "My loan servicer said the authorized payment was removed. I need an explanation." Aaron at 8:55 a.m., "Answer your phone." I sipped my coffee and watched the messages continue to roll in. Derek came downstairs, looked over my shoulder at my phone, and whistled low. They figured it out fast. Money has a way of making people pay attention. My phone started ringing. "Rachel." I declined the call. It rang again immediately. "Aaron." Declined. "My mother." Declined. A text from Rachel, "You can't just stop paying for things without warning. We have commitments." I finally typed a response, "I'm not needed, remember? Things were getting too crowded. I'm just making more room." I sent it to the group chat and then muted the conversation again. The calls continued throughout the day. I declined at every single one. Derek fielded a few from his own phone, which somehow they'd gotten the number for. He told them all the same thing, "Natalie is unavailable. You'll need to handle your own finances." By midday, voicemails started piling up. I listened to them on speaker while I worked from home. My mother, her voice tight with confusion and anger, "Natalie, I don't understand what's happening. The county says we owe 6 months of back property taxes. I thought you'd been handling that. We could lose the house if this isn't paid. Please call me back." Rachel, cold and clipped, "I just talked to Madison's dance teacher. She said you sent an email withdrawing support. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" Madison was in tears. "You need to fix this immediately. Aaron, attempting to sound reasonable, look, I know you're upset about Christmas. We can talk about that. But Jennifer's student loans are serious. If those payments stop, it affects her credit. Can we please discuss this like adults? My father, sounding older than I remembered, Natalie, your mother is very distressed. Whatever's going on, we need to talk about it. Family doesn't just abandon family. That last one almost broke me. Almost. But then I remembered Emma's tear-stained face. Lucas's confusion. Derek's quiet anger. The Instagram post with its caption about real family. Family doesn't just abandon family. The irony was almost funny. I didn't return any of the calls. That evening, Emma came home from school and found me in the living room with my laptop. She sat down next to me, tucking her legs under her. Everyone's phones have been going crazy today, she said. I noticed. Are you okay? I closed my laptop and turned to face her fully. I'm better than okay. I made some decisions today about where I invest my energy and resources. And I chose to invest them in us. In our family. In you and your brother and your dad. What kind of decisions? Adult financial stuff. But the short version is that I've been helping Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Rachel and Uncle Aaron with money for a long time. And I decided to stop. Emma's eyes widened. Because of what Grandma said to me? Because of a lot of things that have been building for years. What she said to you was just the final piece. Sometimes you have to show people that actions have consequences. Is that why everyone's calling? Probably. Emma was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she said something that surprised me. Good. They were mean to you. They shouldn't get your help if they're going to be mean. The simple clarity of a 13-year-old's moral compass. I hugged her tight. Lucas wandered in with a sandwich. Are we still having Christmas? Absolutely, I said. We're going to have the best Christmas ever. Just the four of us. Can we get a really big tree? He asked. The biggest one we can fit through the door. And can we make cookies shaped like Dad's tools? Emma added, smiling for the first time in days. Derek appeared in the doorway, having caught the tail end of the conversation. Wrench-shaped cookies? I'm in. We spent the evening planning our Christmas. Not the one we weren't invited to, but the one we were creating. Emma wanted to drive around looking at Christmas lights. Lucas wanted to make a gingerbread garage for Derek's chocolate cars. Derek suggested we volunteer at the local shelter on Christmas morning, then come home for a huge brunch. For the first time in 3 years, I felt excited about the holidays. My phone continued buzzing intermittently, but I ignored it. They could wait. December 13th brought a new development. My father showed up at my house. I opened the door to find him standing on my porch, looking uncomfortable in his expensive wool coat. He'd never visited before. In the 7 years Derek and I had owned this house, my father had found every excuse not to come by. Can I come in? He asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. He entered slowly, looking around at our modest but comfortable home like he was touring a museum. Nice place, he said, though his tone suggested he meant the opposite. What do you want, Dad? He got straight to the point. You need to resume the property tax payments. We've been counting on that money. We structured our retirement budget around it. You structured your budget around my charity? It's not charity when it's family helping family. Interesting definition. Does that family help go both ways? Because I haven't seen much flowing in my direction. He frowned. We've been supportive. Have you? When? When you didn't come to Emma's 8th grade award ceremony. When you skipped Lucas's baseball championship. When you've excluded us from Christmas 3 years running. That's different. How? He didn't have an answer for that. He shifted his weight, clearly uncomfortable. Your mother is very upset. The tax bill is substantial. We don't have that kind of liquid capital right now. Then sell the boat. Or the summer timeshare. Or downsize the house. That's unreasonable. What's unreasonable is expecting me to subsidize your lifestyle while you treat my family like we're an embarrassment. Nobody said you're an embarrassment. Rachel posted on social media that some people don't fit into your celebrations. Mom told my daughter we're not needed. You posted about having Christmas with real family only. What would you call that? My father's face reddened. You're taking things out of context. Am I? Because it seems pretty clear to me. You want my money, but you don't want my presence. That's not how this works anymore. You're being spiteful. I'm being selective. There's a difference. He stared at me for a long moment, and I could see him trying to figure out what approach might work. The guilt trip had failed. Maybe intimidation? Your mother could lose her house because of you. No, Mom could lose her house because she didn't plan her finances properly. That's not my responsibility. I have my own family to worry about. We're your family too. Then act like it. He had no response to that. After a moment, he turned and walked out without another word. I watched him get into his Mercedes and drive away, and felt nothing but relief. Derek had heard everything from the kitchen. He came out as I closed the door. You okay? Surprisingly, yes. He tried to guilt you. He failed. Derek pulled me close. I'm so damn proud of you. The messages continued throughout the week. Rachel sent a long text about how I was ruining Madison's competitive dance career. Aaron sent an even longer one about how disappointed he was in my behavior and how family was supposed to support each other through thick and thin. Jennifer sent a clinical analysis of how my actions were affecting their financial planning. My mother sent voice notes that ranged from crying to angry to manipulative. In one, she talked about how much she'd sacrificed for me as a child. In another, she questioned whether I was having some kind of mental health crisis. In a third, she suggested that Derek was controlling me and turning me against my family. I deleted them all without fully listening. On December 18th, Rachel showed up. Unlike my father, she didn't knock. She rang the doorbell repeatedly until I answered, then pushed past me into the house. We need to talk. You need to leave. Not until you explain what the hell you're doing. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Madison had to quit dance team. Tyler's orthodontist put his treatment on hold. Mom and Dad might have to take out a loan. Those sound like your problems to solve. You can't just stop helping family. Watch me. Rachel's face was flushed with anger. You're doing this because of Christmas. Because you're jealous that we have a nice celebration and you're not invited. I'm doing this because I'm tired of being an ATM for people who treat me like I'm disposable. Nobody treats you like you're disposable. We just have limited space. Rachel, your house has 5 bedrooms? Mom and Dad's house could sleep 20 people. This isn't about space. This is about you not wanting us there because you're embarrassed by my husband's job. She opened her mouth to deny it, then closed it. Couldn't quite manage the lie. Derek is a good man, I said quietly. He's a better person than anyone in our family. Including me. And my kids are smart, kind, and wonderful. If you can't see that because he works with his hands instead of pushing papers, that's your failing, not ours. It's not about his job. Then what is it about? She couldn't answer. Or wouldn't. I want you to leave now, I said. And don't come back unless you're ready to apologize to Derek and my kids. Not to me. To them. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made was taking this long to stop. She left in a fury, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Emma came downstairs a few minutes later. Was that Aunt Rachel? Yeah. She seemed mad. She is. Because you stopped giving her money? I looked at my perceptive daughter and decided honesty was better than deflection. Yes. Good. She was mean to you. And she was mean about Dad. How do you know that? Emma shrugged. I hear things. I'm not deaf. I know they think Dad isn't good enough because he's a mechanic. But he's the best dad ever. He teaches me stuff and helps with homework and comes to all my games. Uncle Bradley barely talks to Madison except to tell her to be quiet. My heart broke a little. You shouldn't have to know these things. I'm 13, Mom. I'm not a baby. I know when people are fake. She was right. When had my daughter become so wise? December 20th brought another Instagram post from my father. This one showed my parents, Aaron, Rachel, and their families all volunteering at a local food bank, wearing matching shirts that said Fitzgerald Family Gives Back. The caption read, teaching the next generation the importance of generosity and thinking of others during the holidays. Real values matter. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. Derek saw it and laughed. Actually laughed. They're really trying to make themselves look like the victims here, aren't they? Apparently. Do they think people don't see through this? I don't think they care. It's about image, not truth. Emma came and looked at the post over my shoulder. They're donating cans of food? Looks like it. You give actual money to the shelter every month. Like, from your paycheck. I've seen the checks. She was right. I'd been making monthly donations to the local homeless shelter for years. Small amounts, $100 here and there, but consistent. Real help, not photo opportunities. Some people do good things quietly, I said. And some people do them loudly so everyone will see. Which is better? What do you think? She considered this. Probably the quiet way. Because then you know you're doing it for the right reasons. My smart girl. 3 days before Christmas, my mother called from my father's phone. I almost declined out of habit, but something made me answer. Natalie? Her voice was different. Smaller. Please. I need to talk to you. So talk. Not on the phone. Can I come over? Why? Please. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She arrived an hour later, alone. No dad, no dramatic entrance. She looked tired, older somehow. The perfectly maintained exterior had cracks in it. I let her in but didn't offer coffee or comfort. We sat in the living room, several feet apart. I've been thinking, she started. About what you said. About how we've treated you. I waited. Your father doesn't think we did anything wrong. Neither do Rachel or Aaron. They think you're overreacting. But you don't? She hesitated. I think we got caught up in appearances. In maintaining a certain image. And somewhere along the way, we forgot what matters. Which is? You. Emma. Lucas. Derek. She struggled with his name, like it hurt to say. We forgot that family isn't about matching Christmas pajamas or perfect photos. I felt something shift in my chest, but I didn't let it show. Go on. I'm sorry. For the text. For what I said to Emma. For excluding you from Christmas. For. She trailed off. For all of it. Why now? Because the money stopped? Yes, she admitted, and I had to respect the honesty. The money made me realize how much you've been doing for us. How much you've sacrificed. And we took it for granted. We took you for granted. You did. Can you forgive me? I looked at my mother, this woman who'd raised me, who I desperately wanted approval from my entire life. And I realized something, I didn't need her approval anymore. I had built something better than what she'd given me. I had Derek, Emma, and Lucas. I had a family that loved each other without conditions. I don't know, I answered truthfully. Maybe eventually. But not right now. Right now, I need distance. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. And if you want any kind of relationship with me or my family going forward, things have to change. Real change, not just words. How? You need to apologize to Derek. Sincerely. You need to apologize to Emma for hanging up on her. You need to acknowledge that you've been wrong about my husband and my choices. I can do that. And you need to tell Rachel and Aaron and Dad that they're wrong too. Publicly. The same way you publicly excluded us. She paled. That's asking a lot. I've given a lot. Now I'm asking for something back. She sat with that for a long moment. I'll talk to them. Good. But even if you do all of that, I can't promise things will go back to how they were. Because how they were wasn't healthy. I've been setting myself on fire to keep everyone else warm, and I'm done with that. I understand. She left shortly after. I didn't know if she'd actually follow through. Part of me suspected she wouldn't, that her apology was motivated by financial concern rather than genuine remorse. But part of me, a small part, hoped she might surprise me. Christmas Eve arrived. Just the four of us, like we'd planned. We drove around looking at lights, drank hot chocolate, and watched our favorite holiday movies. No drama, no tension, no walking on eggshells. Christmas morning, we volunteered at the shelter, serving breakfast to families who had nowhere else to go. Emma and Lucas worked side by side with Derek and me, and I saw them truly understanding what generosity meant. Not matching pajamas and Instagram posts, but showing up for people who needed help. We came home and made our elaborate brunch. Derek made his famous French toast. I made bacon and eggs. The kids mixed up pancake batter and decorated everything with far too much syrup and whipped cream. We opened presents in our pajamas, mismatched and comfortable. Nothing was expensive or elaborate. Derek gave me a necklace he'd made himself in his shop, with a tiny wrench charm. Emma gave me a scrapbook she'd been working on for months, filled with photos and memories from just our little family. Lucas gave me a drawing he'd made of our house with all of us standing in front, holding hands. I cried happy tears for the first time in weeks. Best Christmas ever? Derek asked. Best Christmas ever, I agreed. My phone buzzed once. A text from my mother, Merry Christmas, Natalie. I love you. I'm working on making things right. I responded simply, Merry Christmas, Mom. Later that afternoon, I checked Instagram out of morbid curiosity. My father had posted a photo from their celebration. 21 people in matching pajamas, just like before. But the caption was different this year. Merry Christmas from our family. Grateful for everyone in our lives, near and far. It wasn't much. It wasn't an apology or an acknowledgement of what they'd done. But it was different from real family only. It was a start. Rachel had posted too. Her photo showed Madison opening presents. The caption read, Christmas magic with my girl. Remembering what really matters this season. Again, not an apology. But the pointed comments about people not fitting in were gone. I didn't post anything. I didn't need to. My Christmas didn't require an audience. The days after Christmas were quiet. The family group chat remained mostly silent. A few bland "hope you had a nice holiday" messages appeared, but nothing substantial. No more angry demands or guilt trips about the money. No more phone calls. I suspected they'd figured out how to cover their bills without me. Or maybe they were still scrambling. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. On December 28th, something unexpected happened. I received an email from Jennifer, Aaron's wife. Unlike the previous angry messages, this one was different in tone. She wrote that she'd been thinking about everything that had transpired and wanted me to know that she'd never fully understood how much I'd been contributing to their lives. She admitted that Aaron had downplayed my help, calling it just family stuff whenever she'd asked about it. She said she felt guilty for accepting my assistance with her student loans while simultaneously going along with the exclusions from family events. The email wasn't quite an apology, but it was acknowledgement. She ended by saying she hoped we could talk sometime, maybe without the rest of the family involved. I saved the email but didn't respond immediately. I needed time to process whether this was genuine or another manipulation tactic. That same evening, Derek showed me something on his phone. Tyler, Rachel's son, had sent him a friend request on social media. Derek was confused since Tyler had never shown any interest in connecting before. When Derek accepted, Tyler immediately sent a message, "Hey Uncle Derek, I'm sorry about everything. I know my mom was wrong. You've always been cool to me at the few family things we did together. I hope you guys had a good Christmas." Derek looked at me with raised eyebrows. "The kids are reaching out. They're old enough to see through the nonsense," I said. "Tyler's what, 16 now?" 17. Old enough to form his own opinions. It struck me then that by standing up for myself, I might have shown the younger generation something important. That you don't have to accept mistreatment just because it comes from family. That boundaries matter. That self-respect isn't selfish. Emma had noticed the shift too. A few days later, she told me that Madison had texted her, something that hadn't happened in over a year. Madison had asked how Emma's Christmas was and said she missed hanging out with her cousin. Emma had responded cautiously but kindly, and they'd been messaging back and forth ever since. "Do you think things might get better?" Emma asked me. "With your cousins?" "Maybe. They're not responsible for their parents' choices. But we'll take it slow and see if it's real." The next morning, I finally responded to Jennifer's email. I kept it brief but honest, thanking her for reaching out and saying I appreciated her perspective. I suggested we could meet for coffee in January, just the two of us, and see where things stood. No promises, no expectations. On New Year's Eve, Derek and I stood on our back porch while the kids stayed up late watching movies inside. We could hear their laughter through the window. "You did good," Derek said, wrapping his arm around my waist. "We did good. All of us. Do you regret it? Cutting them off?" I thought about it honestly. Did I regret it? The years of financial support, the emotional labor, the constant attempt to win approval I would never receive? No. I regret not doing it sooner. What if they never really change? What if your mom doesn't follow through? Then we have this. Us. And that's enough. He kissed my temple. More than enough. Inside, Emma and Lucas started a countdown to midnight even though it was only 10 p.m. They shouted the numbers enthusiastically, getting them wrong but not caring. Derek and I went inside to join them, leaving the cold and the old year behind. As midnight actually approached 2 hours later, the four of us stood in the living room with sparkling cider and plastic champagne flutes. Emma held her glass up. "To new traditions," she said. "To new traditions," we echoed. We clinked glasses and drank, and outside, fireworks started going off in the neighborhood. Lucas ran to the window to watch, and Emma followed. Derek and I stood together, watching our kids, watching our life, and feeling complete. My phone buzzed one more time. Another text from my mother. "Can I take you to lunch next week? Just the two of us. I want to talk." I showed Derek. He squeezed my hand. "Your call. I'll think about it." And I would. I'd think about whether there was a path forward, whether my mother was capable of real change, whether I wanted to rebuild something from the ashes. But I'd think about it from a position of strength now, not desperation. I'd think about it knowing that I didn't need her approval to be happy, because I'd already found happiness. It was in the man standing beside me who loved me unconditionally. It was in the two kids watching fireworks with wonder in their eyes. It was in the small, imperfect house that we'd made into a home. I'd spent so many years trying to earn a place at their table, trying to prove I was good enough, successful enough, worthy enough. And all along, I'd had my own table. My own family. My own worth. They could keep their matching pajamas and their perfect photos and their real family celebrations. I had something better. I had real love. And no amount of money could buy that. As the clock struck midnight and then the new year began, I made one resolution: to never again confuse financial support with love, or family obligation with self-worth. I would give generously, but only to those who valued the gift. I would love deeply, but only those who loved me back. The fireworks continued outside, bright and brilliant against the dark sky. Emma and Lucas pressed their faces against the window, pointing and laughing. Derek wrapped his arms around me from behind, and I leaned into his warmth. This was my family. This was my celebration. This was my real life. And it was more than enough. It was everything.